Thank you, Julian, and thank you to Lauren, and thank you to all those, to Steve for reading, and all those who have taken part and still taking part at the back there. It's good to see you. It's good to have, I think there are 1 or 2 on Zoom today, so it's good to have you with us as well. I wonder if you've ever had that nightmare that you somewhere, and maybe it's a very sort of a well-dressed occasion. It might be you're dreaming of a wedding or some presentation, something to do with your work or your former work, and there you are, sitting or standing on a platform, and suddenly you look and realise that the rest of the people there are dressed up to the nines, and you're in your gardening clothes, or for the clothes you take the dog out for a walk, or the wrong shoes, or your hair is, mine always looks like that, mind you, but your hair, not meant to laugh, your hair looks like a sort of scarecrow's. And hopefully you've never been in that situation, but that nightmare, well, I guess we've all been there to a certain extent. I think the Pharisee Simon, who we have read about and Lauren has mentioned, I think he must have thought, is this a nightmare? We don't know much about this man. There are various efforts to try and pinpoint him elsewhere. There are various accounts, various understandings about this woman, who she was, and so on and so forth, we'll come to in a moment. But all we know is here is what is said. And really, the whole of this event is sort of circled round this parable that Jesus told of one person who owed a tremendous amount and one who owed a mere pittance or relative pittance. Both were let off their debts, both forgiven. Who was most thankful? Who would have had such much more gratitude? Obviously, anyone could work out it was the one who owed most, who felt he'd been forgiven most. And around that sort of parable, really, this event takes place. It's strange, really, because though I told Lauren the theme, as she has said, in some ways, sort of our brains seem to sort of work along the same path, because I've often thought with this story, it's got the wrong title, because this really is a message to Simon. Almost, who do you think you are, Simon? What do you think you are? You know who this woman is. You know what she is. You know her reputation. You know she's a woman who has the reputation of being bad, a sinner, evil. You avoid her like the bubonic plague. If you saw her coming along the street, you cross the road. You would not want her living next door to you. And you certainly would not want her at a party you'd held for very respectable, nice, kindly sort of people who thought like you. That was the custom, so it would seem, in the East then, as indeed is to a certain extent even now, that if you were someone like Simon, a leading light in the sort of religious world, and maybe in other ways as well, if you were a leading light at that time, and you had the sort of wherewithal to do it, and you had your lovely house that had presumably a lovely courtyard and grounds, that you entertained your friends. Some suggest this might have been after a synagogue time of worship, and he invited other Pharisees and other worshippers around. Respectable people, you know, nice people, people like you, people like me, people who, you know, we talked about the weather, and we talked about, you know, the rising cost of living maybe, but we talked about all these things. But we were nice people. In comes this woman, whatever you want to call her, and a woman, and we don't know what stage this woman was at. Some suggest that her coming in now was after she'd heard Jesus already and had already repented of her ways and of her former life, and this was just to come and say thank you. Others feel, and there's probably more evidence to it, that this, in a relatively short time, and we're not told how, what happened, or anything like that, but at this point, she saw Jesus, and suddenly her whole life appeared to her to be broken. And it's this sense of broken that I can't sort of escape from my brain as I've thought about this morning. Now, you nearly got away with it. You nearly escaped the second time. The first time I should have stood here, we went on holiday. And we are going on holiday, but not until Wednesday, so that didn't work. Then, the last time I should have stood here to preach, we linked into the service at Bournemouth. But it's all come. You can't get away this time. Well, you could, but I'm sure you won't. But this theme of broken wouldn't go away. And as I began to think, really, we are here this morning to read God's word, to worship and so on. And we culminate this time of worship with the table, the bread and the wine laid out before us, that speak of his broken body, that speak of his poured out blood, that speak of his life given for you and for me. We come and think of this broken woman. We don't know, as Lauren has rightly said, we don't know what her past was. And as, again, Lauren's rightly said, I think from experience we all know and have, and all the research done these days, is that this woman didn't suddenly wake up one day and think, I'm going to be a sinful woman, I'm going to be a prostitute. No, her life obviously had driven down this bumpy, terrible, uncomfortable road. And here she was, realizing that her ambitions, her dreams, her aspirations, all were smashed to smithereens, broken. There was nothing left. There was nothing to sort of hope for, nothing to work for, nothing to live for. People despised her. People indeed called her evil, sinful, and avoided her. She was broken. And she comes to this group of people, to this party. It was apparently the customary thing that when a wealthy person like Simon would have thrown a party like this, it was not unusual to allow the sort of local others to come along. It would have been people like me coming to your party, because you would have been gracious enough to let someone as a bystander come. I might have had to stand at the back, but you would have allowed me in. So it wasn't that unusual, but it was her reputation, it was her history, it was her story, which indeed caused poor old Simon to almost have a fit. As he saw her walk in, you're not the sort of person we want at this party. You're not the sort of person we need. We're respectable. We've got our standards. She had nothing. Nothing to bring but a broken mess. I wonder if you remember as a child, or as now a grown-up, you've had a child come to you maybe at Christmas time. They've had this lovely Christmas present that they wanted, and somehow, I don't know, the dog got it, someone sat on it, they dropped it or whatever. And there it is. The wheels come off, the legs come off, the heads come off or whatever. And it doesn't do what it should do anymore. Can you repair it, please? Make it better, make it right. And the best will in the world, you can't. It's damaged, it's broken. I wonder today, as we meet here, you'd never know, but there could be someone here today whose life feels not as smashed and broken to smithereens as that woman, but the wheels come off. I remember once going, and I always do my Christmas shopping very bright and early, around about the 23rd of December, on a good year, has been the 24th. But on this occasion, I must have gone, when we used to have late night shopping on Thursday in Taunton, and I remember going into one of the shops, and there I met this young lady who I knew from my days when we were at Stokes and Gregory. She didn't go to that church, but it was through Stokes and Gregory I knew her. And I knew that she had a child that they'd longed for, a little boy. And I said to her, how is, whatever his name is, getting on? And she looked at me and then burst into tears. There in the middle of everyone, there in the middle of this department store, there I'd gone to do my Christmas shopping at this late stage, and there she was crying. And she told me the day they'd had when they had had their son assessed and his mental health needs had been sort of highlighted. And she knew they had problems, obviously. They'd struggled, but now it was official. and she was broken. But of course, one was able to tell her, especially from personal experience, that this isn't the end, this is the beginning. There are people there to care and work with you. This woman came to Jesus. Why? Because she knew he and he alone could mend her. He could take the broken bits. He could take this woman, yes, she was called a sinful woman, but he was going to make her a forgiven woman, an empowered woman, a Christ-filled woman. And it may be you come today as a man or a woman who feels broken. And what you need today, and what it is to sort of come and receive the bread and the wine, to not just literally, but metaphorically also, to receive Jesus, to repair you, to restore you, to come and to bring you that new life. You perhaps until now have felt, I couldn't come to communion. I mean, I don't really know even why I've come to church. I am not worthy. And you're right. You're not. I'm not. There's not one of us here worthy. And if Richard were here, I guess he'd say the same about himself. Lovely, brilliant man though he is, he's not worthy. And I'm certainly not worthy. Because we come, and as we come and partake of this communion, it reminds us and it speaks out that we have been taken as broken men and women who have sought to live our life in our strength or our weakness, and we have failed. And sometimes that failure is noticeable. Sometimes we can pretend, sometimes we can act and make out we're doing well. Oh, you know, one day you might be like me. But no, we come and we realize our worthlessness. We come and realize and confess our sinfulness. And we come and admit our need of his forgiveness. He came and he saw this woman. But this story is not just about this woman. In fact, again, as I mentioned earlier, Lauren's right. I think the focus is not about the woman. The focus is on Simon. Because really the whole message is, Simon, what is going on? Look, understand. Look at this woman who came in. She came in, broken-hearted. I came into this courtyard. And what did you do? Nothing. You didn't wash my feet. You didn't give me the holy kiss that had been customary at that time. You didn't welcome me in as your guest. You just came and sat here. She came and she has never stopped kissing my feet. She has never stopped pouring out this perfume onto my feet, because her gratitude, her love, and her realization that she can be healed, that she can be restored. You, Simon, well, Jesus knew what Simon was thinking. You know, there's sometimes just actions speak so much louder than words, don't they? You tell someone something and you just know what they're thinking, that they don't approve, or they think it's a joke, or they think you're stupid, because you can tell their eyes, their face, their mouth, everything about them says, you know, you're mad as a hatter, sort of thing. Jesus said to Simon, I know what you're thinking. You think this woman shouldn't be here. You think this woman is not worthy to come here. And indeed, you think this woman is not worthy to come to me. Because Simon was thinking, if this Jesus was truly who he says he is, the Son of God, the Messiah, the Promised One, the King of Kings, if he were to be who he says he is, this woman anywhere near him. But what is he doing? He's letting this sinful, dreadful, broken woman with this dreadful reputation come and not just sit near him, but to come and kiss his feet, to come and pour perfume on his feet, to come and shed tears on his feet. And probably the most dastardly thing, to let her hair down, which would have been very offensive in that sort of society at that time, and to wipe his feet. A lot of no-nos there, all in one. Jesus says, Simon, I know what you're thinking. I know you are thinking that she should not be anywhere near me. But Simon, you have missed the entire point of why I'm here. You've missed the entire point of who I am. Because yes, I am Jesus. Yes, I'm the Messiah. Yes, I'm the one who's come to bring the kingdom of God onto this earth. and I come to forgive people. The crucifixion was yet to happen, of course, but he would have pointed to that if it had been after that and said, why do you think I died on the cross? Why do you think Jesus came? Why do you think Jesus gave his life? Why do you think Jesus taught time and time again about the need for men and women to put God into their lives, to repair their lives? And this woman is a perfect example of one whose life is shattered and broken, and I've come to heal her, to restore, to mend. And maybe there's a Simon here today, male or female, who looks and says, I'm not worthy, or that person's not worthy. I don't really see the need for Jesus to do anything to my life. I'm good enough. Simon would have pointed round to himself and his friends and said, look at us. We're respectable, we're religious, we're holy. What's wrong with us? Simon, she might be the sinful woman, but you're sinful too. All of them have fallen short of the glory of God. We've fallen short of the standard of God. And whether we like it or not, we are not as we should be, could be, as God wants us to be. And Jesus has come to restore. Just as he came to restore the leper, he came to restore the blind, the deaf. He came to restore men and women who faced an eternity of just being lost. Do you remember the thief on the cross? One thief sort of turned and I suppose thought, well, so what? But the thief on the other side, Jesus, save me. Remember me when you come into your kingdom, when you come into paradise. He said to the other thief, we deserve to be here. This man doesn't. Jesus comes to restore, to renew. And I suppose as we come to this table, it isn't reserved for the holy. Where we used to live in Wiltshire quite a few years ago, there used to be a church there that I almost found by accident. And I asked one or two of the locals, what is this church? There was no sort of notice outside, but you could tell it was a church. Ah, they said, well, it's a church that sort of keeps itself very separate. In fact, every week they move the service to a different time in case anyone goes along who shouldn't go along. And I said, well, why is that? They said, well, they don't want anyone going into communion who shouldn't be there. Communion, like coming to Jesus, is not reserved for those who've got it right. In fact, it's for the reverse. It's for those who come and realise they're not right, those who are broken, those who indeed, yes, would call themselves sinners or not worthy. So this morning, come and ask yourself, am I worthy to come? The answer is no. Is he making us, enabling us to come to him because of what he has done for us on the cross? As we break the bread, as we take of the wine, we are saying that Jesus died for you, that Jesus gave his life for you, that Jesus wants to restore you, to heal you. He wants to come with those broken bits of your life, those painful bits of your life, those bits that, well, you don't really like to talk to anyone about, even to yourself sometimes. He wants to come. He wants to mend your broken life, as he mended that woman's broken life. What about you? What about me? Can we come today saying, Lord, I don't deserve to come. I'm broken, I'm damaged, but I'm going to come and I want you to heal me and restore me. So we're going to come to the table. We're going to come and take of the bread and wine. And in that time, we will come and remember what he has done for us. We're going to come and actually start by hearing a song. The song is in fact called Broken Vessels. It's a reflective one. We're not going to sing it because it's a bit of a challenge musically, I have to say. We're just going to listen to it. It's a long song, but we've chopped it down to about 3 minutes. It reminds us that we are broken, but Jesus comes to mend us, just like the potter's house, how the potter broke the vessel in Jeremiah's time. So we're just going to come and listen to that as we come to the table.